Only 2 teams still remain unbeaten, and today they'll go head-to-head. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 3 of VCT Americas. We're coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles, California. I'm still Dash. That's still Athena. But today, we've got a newcomer onto the desk with us. It's esports Douglas Cortez.
Still Doug. Still Doug.
Just Doug?
I'm still Doug, though.
You
You're
are still Doug.
That
is true. That is true. That is true. Well, we're glad to have you here. It's only one matchup that we have in front of us today, but it is a big one. Before we get to it, we have to talk about what broke down on the stage just yesterday. We went the distance in both of our series. First up, it was Sentinels versus Leviathan. I think to a number of people, went against the grain, against expectation there, where we really thought this North American squad was finally going to get one on the board and do something for the region.
Well, but I think, honestly, it kind of subverted expectations in a couple of ways, yeah? Given how close it was, yeah, it looked like Sentinels were going to be able to pull it off, but I'll be honest, Athena, I didn't think that Sentinels had much of a dog in the fight to begin with. I was expected that they played as well as they did and played them as closely as they did.
Yeah, I mean, coming into it, I think everyone kind of thought they were the underdogs.
Yeah.
We were kind of like thinking they weren't going to go the miles. I mean, even yesterday when we were on the desk, I was talking about how I thought Crew was really going to just come home with this win. And, oh, sorry, not Crew, Leviathan were going to come home with this win and just show, like, you know, who they are and how strong they are. And then Sentinels just kind of gave us a nice little surprise there.
Yeah.
Yeah, some good drama on stage. The drama continued after the match ended. Just hours after the loss, Sentinels CEO Rob Moore tweeted that Coach Psycho had been let go. Difficult decision, but it'll be Kaplan stepping on a stage behind the team to man the head coaching position. Doug, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of thoughts on this. My first, admittedly, my first reaction to this is this a little knee-jerk, right? And I understand that it's a condensed season and you have to perform, you have to get results instantly, but is this perhaps a little bit knee-jerk? That's my initial thought off the bat on this.
Yeah, I think it was definitely kind of blindsided everyone. I think a roster change this early, I was not expecting it. I don't think anyone really was. I think maybe there were some behind-the-scenes issues that we didn't know about, but all in all, it was kind of crazy, and I'm really looking forward to see how Kaplan actually steps up in this role.
Yeah, that's now the big question, right? You know, the decision is made, and that's for the org to decide, but at the end of the day, now Kaplan is charged with reviving the season, and I go back to your point, Doug, about that condensed single season, where the pressure really is on to start getting the wins together to make top 6, and Sentinels as an org expects to make top 6.
Oh, yeah, and I think the roster suggests that as well. And I am very hopeful for the future of the Sentinel squad. I've been close friends with Kaplan for a while, and while he was on Ghost, I actually asked him one day if he would be willing to let me sit in on his scrims, just to listen, right? Be a fly on the wall and learn as much as I can, and he was more than willing to. And getting to listen to him talk about the game and how he thinks about it and how he approaches it was just something really special. So I'm very confident in how they'll do in the future. If you're a Sentinels fan, rest assured, I think you're in good hands.
All right, there you have it. That was just the first of the 2 matches that we had yesterday, a battle between 1-1 teams. From there, we go to the battle between winless teams in Evil Geniuses and Crew. But this match, for me, was the match of the day. It delivered on so many levels, and ultimately it was Evil Geniuses that took it, Athena.
Yeah, I mean, just earlier, I jumped out and said Crew because I was so excited to talk about this game. I mean, this game was like an explosion. You know, it felt like we were watching like hard, aggressive combat the whole time, and we were starting to see micro plays coming out of EG, and honestly, I don't think any of us expected EG to come out and look as good as they did, like in a form that we were not expecting. I mean, obviously they brought out Demon 1, and we just saw like an insane change of chemistry for this team.
Yeah, I think they impressed, both of them did, in that they were doing a couple things well that they perhaps weren't doing before. Right, but it was, you know, bottom of the winless, or the battle of the winless teams, who was going to be able to navigate and come out with a win. And I think all you know, jokes aside, I think for EG, you got to give them a little credit to navigate everything that's gone on in this past week. The fact that they're 0-2, the roster changes, and everything that went along with that, for them to navigate that and come out with a win against a Crew squad is impressive.
Yeah, slotting in Demon 1, finding the victory as a result. I mean, it was a risky move, but it paid off in dividends. My heart breaks for Crew because I feel like for an 0-3 team, they haven't played like an 0-3 team, and so waiting for them to get that first W here in VCT America. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and take a look at the current standings and how all of the teams fall when it comes to our 10-team league here. Of course, you'll notice at the top of the table, 2 2-0 teams. That will be what changes today. One of them going to slip to 2-1, and the other will remain undefeated at 3-0. The rest of it, though, as you can see, we've got clumps, 2-1, 1-2, and then the still winless crew. It's Loud versus Furia today. The battle at the top of the table. Our two Brazilian powerhouses. I mean, just what a headliner of a match, right? And I'm actually so glad that we just have today dedicated to them and them only.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of people, you expected Loud to be here, right? It's Loud. They've got the pedigree, they've got the collar and Sadak, you've got everything there. But I'd say Furia has impressed people. Admittedly, me as one of them. You know their play style. You look at it and go, okay, it's fun, it's fast, but it's not sustainable, right? Like, there's no way you keep this up. This is counterable. Teams should be able to navigate this and figure it out, and so far, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, I mean, Sean yesterday actually made a really good point on the desk where he was like, it was big bro versus little bro, and I'm just going to keep holding on to that because that's literally exactly what it is. Like, this is kind of a fight of Furia to step out of Loud's shadow and kind of prove that. And honestly, for me today, I don't know if you can tell, I'm kind of in a Loud mood.
Yeah, there's a lot of green across all of our outfits, apparently. I guess.
Swear it wasn't planned. No, for me, like, obviously, I think Loud is going to be they have a lot to prove. And I think that pressure might possibly get to them. Yeah. And I think Furia literally at this point has nothing to lose. They're just here to prove who they are, who the better Brazilian team is, and just kind of like,
big bro, little bro is like the absolute perfect analogy. The question is, did little bro have their growth spurt yet? You know, like it surpassed big bro. That's what happened to me in my life as the bigger brother in the family. With all the excitement, though, around today's match, there's a lot of eyes on this arena. I think it's a perfect time to announce the next evolution of VCT. Yes, it's already coming. We are going to be moving beyond best-of-3 matches and trophies into Phase 2. We're talking about the VCT Cinematic Universe.
I'm really excited for this, man. I know this has been a long time coming, and we are going to be changing the media landscape with a full slate of exciting, groundbreaking television series and films, which are totally real, of course. Today, we've got a sneak peek at some of those projects we have in production right now.
Well, actually, Doug, first up, we have Loud Puppies, an animated series about the dogs of Loud. What do they do when they're not in the arena? Well, we'll find out here.
One thing's for sure, they got that dog in them. All right? That's the one question that doesn't need to be answered in that animated series. Now, next up, there's the saucy prequel film. I know what you're thinking. There was never an original. How can there be a prequel? Don't ask deep questions like that. The questions you should be asking is, does he have hair? And yes, he does. In that prequel, he has a mad head of hair right there.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll be able to unsee that, right? Like that's in there.
We gotta find a wig like that so you can wear it one day on broadcast. That'd be so good. All right, we are also very excited though to announce that we're heading to Brazil for the pulse-pounding action saga, The Fast and the Furia. It's the 14th in the long line of Fast and the Furious lineup, but
it may even be more. I feel like he skipped a couple of offshoot stories on the way there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but it's okay because if you're looking for an epic adventure, we have the IGL. Finesse plays a space bounty hunter that has one mission and one mission only, and that is to protect baby Sam.
Oh no. Do you think our players have any concept of how we're going to use the photos when they come in for acid? They're like, really? Really? You turned me into that?
Yeah, I'm sure Sam was not thinking, I'm going to be baby Grogu one day.
It's
unreal. But you know what? If you're a fan of the VCT Americas broadcast talent...
I'm not.
He's on the talent team. We've got you covered as well. Bren and Sideshow will star in the latest hit, The Mauled Couple. Ooh. A sitcom where they're roommates.
Isn't that just like, don't we see that play out on the daily?
Well, oddly enough, this has happened, right? They were roommates.
It's a documentary, not so much a sitcom. We'll get to see that play out today because they will be the casters taking to the stage for Loud versus Furia. But tell us which of those projects you're most excited about with the hashtags VCT Americas and VCT. We'll be very curious to see which one we should get into production on the quickest timeline. Now, after the break, we'll have a deep dive on today's matchup between Furia and Loud, so stay with us. We'll see you back here in just a bit.
Agora faz abate o Arce agora. O Xão! Aspas! Levou o King. Olha ele. Galil!
Welcome back, everyone, to VCT Americas. You couldn't have scripted today's matchup better, and I mean that in all seriousness. The two teams that have broken from the pack will meet head-to-head today. It's Furia versus Loud. And when we say they're the top two teams, that's not hyperbole, all right? They're the top two across several categories, not just leading the standings. Take a look at this. Obviously, when you're winning in total series scores, you expect the round win percentage to be big. But I think what's underneath these is what speaks to the dominance and the different aspects of these teams that they're really, that are stellar.
Yeah, I think it just highlights that these two teams are at the top of the pack, and you mentioned it at the top, right? They've separated themselves from everyone else, and it's showing in the stats. I think the surprising thing, if we want to get really nuanced and start to split hairs, it's the fact that Furia has a couple of these stats over Loud, which is not what you'd expect, right? If we continue this little bro, big bro conversation, you'd expect the little bro to be in second, right? But Furia is showing they can hang with the big dogs.
Yeah, and I think a piece of that, right, is just the idea that they continue to ramp up, right? If we talk about Furia, they looked really solid at lock-in, but they look even better here on the Americas stage.
Yeah, I mean, they're putting up really, really good fights. I mean, Furia just has looked so strong. They have no doubt in their aggression and the way that they play together as a team. I mean, each one of these players just always putting up the numbers and putting up that content that they need for this team to win. And I say that was funny because we were talking about content yesterday, but every single time that we see Furia play, we just see them be so confident in the way that they're playing. And I think that that's something that a lot of these teams don't actually have.
But freaking Furia have it in droves, right? Again, I was kind of alluding to it earlier. They go fast. They play with confidence. They hold W. They take these angles that you often look at them play and you go, you shouldn't take that. What are you doing? That's a bold, one and done. And they're just so confident in every single fight that they take. And I mean, it's working.
Yeah, but they have still existed within the Loud shadow, right? And that's part of what they're trying to, to get through today and break out into the sunshine. One of the players that's going to be pivotal in that, I think, would be Khalil for the squad. At the end of the day, everyone's had top performances, big winning moments, but I'm looking at Khalil as, kind of a rock for this squad.
Yeah, I think the team does a really good job in making sure that Khalil is a key part of their success, right? They enable him well. It really does feel like, as much as we talk about DG and how good he is, the team really plays well together, and Khalil is a very key part of that. If he continues to perform at the pace that he has, this could be a pretty quick day.
Yeah, I mean, for Khalil, seeing him kind of be set up in a way that we've kind of talked about these other teams, they're not really setting up their duelists, not really setting up their players for the best success. I feel like Furia is one of those teams that has mastered that. And you're right, around Khalil, everything is just perfectly set in stone for him to kind of pop off and have those moments. And he's not even, running in first. He's always in those clutch moments, always proving himself as a player, as a team player, mechanically, game-wise, every single time he's just proving everything wrong. And I honestly, when it comes to this, I'm wondering, Furia and Loud, they must play together, they must scrim against each other a lot. And I'm wondering, is there something that Furia kind of has under their sleeve to bring up against Loud? They're like, hey, we know you're kryptonite.
Headshot machine. Headshot machine. Did you see
Headshot
that?
machine.
All the rounds we showed were either 3Ks or 4Ks, and every single kill was a headshot. It's not like every once in a while I'm sniping a kill with a headshot. It's every kill is a headshot. That is disgusting.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was watching the individual mechanics in some of those plays. I think about the back B long when he's playing behind screens and he gets a 2K in the post plant. Crosshair doesn't move at all. It's all just AD strafing, and it's just so clean and so consistent, and that's the kind of stuff that you look at that and go, dang, this kid's good.
Yeah, take notes at home, by the way. It's a tough thing to learn. Not you. You do it fairly well already. It's us, too, that really need to take notes in that regard. All right, head-to-head matchup for the day, though. The one to watch is going to be Aspas versus Digizine. This is good. We talk about mechanics, right? I mean, every player, obviously, on these top two squads has mechanics. Aspas is going to be one of the players here that I'm really looking for, though, for Loud to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, Aspas always giving us a fight, a fun game to watch. And DJ's both these stats are so similar, so it's always down to, who the team can play around better and which of these players can get those important opening kills and entries for their team to kind of get into the site. Just open up the round for their team to kind of feel like they can play around them confidently.
Yeah, and I think it's funny to kind of compare the two styles because you're right, they're stars in both rights. Their stats are very similar, but it really does feel like DG's in kind of puts the game in his hands sometimes and says, I'm going to go make a play. This is on me, and I'm going to deliver. And he consistently does, which is the fun thing. When you compare that to Aspas, it may be a bit more structured. It may be a bit more routine. But the system works, which is huge credit to Sadak. But for DG Zin, sometimes he goes, man, I'm going. Yeah. And that's it.
No, I think the structured element that you're talking about, too, for Aspas is a big one, right? Particularly when you're trying to attack into him. You never know what kind of angle he's going to hold, right? And we were actually having a little conversation just briefly off camera before this around his willingness to find close angles, right? And play really aggressive angles on defense as opposed to, while he's very capable of hitting the long shots, he's the one who wants to play up at the front lines, find that first frag and maybe a second, get a big man advantage. Now, for a closer look at these two teams, let's hear from Furia's MW Zera and Loud's Les.
A gente vai enfrentar a Loud agora na nossa próxima partida. A gente sabe que eles são bem confiantes assim, principalmente pelos últimos resultados deles, né? Campeão do mundo, muito bem no lock-in, quase ganhou.
Eu acho que vai ser um confronto muito difícil, se bem sincero. Os times brasileiros, pelo jeito, estão vindo muito fortes agora para a franquia, né? A gente teve um jogo muito difícil contra a MBR e a Furia deu um jogo muito sólido contra a Cru.
Então, acho que o principal ponto forte da Loud é a confiança. É nítido que o jogo deles é muito confiante, independente de tudo que eles façam dentro do mapa. É sempre tudo com muita convicção. Isso vem muito, acho que, do Sadak, de passar uma cal convicta para os moleques, de passar uma convicção de jogo para os meninos, tenho certeza.
Eu acho que o mais difícil dessa partida vai ser lidar com individuais de alguns jogadores da equipe da Fúria, sabe? Tem alguns jogadores que individualmente se destacam muito, brilham muito dentro de alguns rounds e até partidas, que é principalmente o MW e o DGzinho, sabe? Eles são jogadores muito bons individualmente e que eles podem surpreender muito rápido a gente.
Não é a Loud meio que tá diminuindo o nível dela, acredito que é os times que estão aumentando o nível. Acho que principalmente depois do Champions do ano passado, após o lock-in agora, os times evoluíram bastante, aumentaram muito o nível. Chegar achando que não vai ser surpreendido, porque com certeza é um dos times mais fortes que está vindo aí na franquia.
A lot of respect shown between the players of each of these teams, and deservedly so. I think to a degree, though, that brings to front of mind for me the idea that the players on Furia seem to be showing, to a degree, more respect towards Loud than some of us on the broadcast team. I mean, check me if I'm wrong on this, right? But, like, again, this is world champs, lock-in runner-ups, right? Like, this is an incredible team that a lot of people, I'll call out Josh again for his power rankings, right, are already starting to subvert in saying that Furia might be the better team on the day without having seen them play against each other just yet.
And, you know, I wonder how much of that is due to the roster change that Loud has gone through and kind of navigating some of that. And the truth is, they have looked human, right? They've looked pretty human.
You say that, but again, lock-in champions, second place, champions, lock-in second place, champions is a funny thing to say. They don't lose to Brazilian teams.
Yeah, they don't. They have an incredible record against Brazilian teams, but I was referring to namely in America.
Sure,
right?
okay,
We've
fair.
seen them get pushed in ways that we go, wait a second, what's going on here? This shouldn't be happening, right? They still have that pedigree. They're still a championship-winning team, right? You have that record on you, but they have looked a little human, which I think is a large part of why Josh has said what he says.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Sadhak, like, he's the IGL, and he kind of powered through roster changes and kind of still brought his team back to look really, really strong. And I wonder, has he done enough to kind of prepare for this tournament and kind of prepare for this Americas League? Like, I think that, in general, he's a really good IGL. Someone who can do that with a roster change and not falter, not even blink, like, I think that is insane. That is insane talent.
Yeah, he's nuts. I had a conversation with him a couple of days ago regarding the roster changes and kind of how that's gone for him. And he was pretty honest in saying, yeah, there are a lot of high expectations for us, and maybe they're a little unreasonable. We have two very young players that we're trying to teach them and mold them, not just in the game, but out of the game as well. And you kind of compare some of his stats, and Sadak's individually, which, mind you, is in a test tube situation here, but Sadak's stats have suffered a bit as he's perhaps more involved in the IGLing, given that he has two younger players on his roster.
But all that expectation, right, is the unfortunate privilege of the history of this organization. Right? I think that's the reality of it. It's like, and the beauty of sports.
Yeah.
As you perform, as you, come up with some of these massive wins and start to, cement a legacy within a sport, then all of this expectation expectation comes with it, regardless of those changes, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the hurdles that your team has to overcome.
I mean, even just last week, I mean, they dropped a map to C9, and everyone was like, what is going on?
The roof's on fire, man. Yeah, exactly.
This is not correct. This is not how the script should be scripting. Like, everything about it was just so interesting. And so they obviously brought it back. They had a 2-1 win over C9, but it kind of looked like maybe they are showing a little too much human, like you said, Doug.
Yeah, just showing a couple of cracks, but you see, Dash, to what you were alluding to previously, they have a pedigree of it.
Yeah.
And they just win, and they win a lot. You see it on your screen. First to Challengers, second to Reykjavik, excuse me. First to Challengers, and Copenhagen was perhaps a bit of an anomaly. First to Champs, second at Lock-In. They win, and they win a lot.
They win a lot, and this is where I want to bring it right back to Sadak. We were already talking about him a bit, but we should celebrate him, I think, a little bit more, right? Because that timeline that we just took a look at doesn't exist, I don't think, without this man on this team.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, again, to go back to the conversation I was having with him, it's fun to pick his brain because he thinks about the roster and he thinks about the team and developing the team in so much more than just in the game. All right, yeah, he's strategically planning things out and making sure his pieces are where he wants them to be, but he just thinks about the development as like a larger program, a system, if you will. And I think that's the mark of a mature leader.
Yeah, I think one of the whole aspects of being on a team, and for me, previously being in IGL, still being a captain, for me, what I try to do with my team is develop my team to the point where they don't actually need someone to lead them and direct them anymore. It's more of a delegation. And so making that team so strong to the point where each player brings their own individual contribution to a team and is so strong at that, and developing them for the best that they have, the best abilities that they have. Like, that is super important, and I think that that's what Loud is trying to achieve.
That's great context, because I can only imagine then how difficult or how much a challenge it is when you have roster swaps. You yourself are looking to play different roles and different agents while trying to get your team to the point of it's all second nature. But up until then, you might have to micromanage just a little bit. We'll see what Loud can put on display today, and if they can start to look a little bit more like the well-oiled machine that we know they are capable of becoming. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk with the Brazilian broadcast team about today's matchup and make our own predictions. Don't miss it. Welcome back, everybody, to VCT America. Since we have the best of Brazil up next, we're calling in our friends on the Brazilian broadcast team for their take. Here's Bita and Tishinha.
Thank you so much, Dash. We are really happy to be here and talking a little bit more about Brazil. We're finally gonna have Furia against Loud after 1 year. They're gonna face it again. Now it's a completely different situation, right? Furia and Loud are leading the VCT Americas, and it's really cool for us because Brazil always wanted to have like 2-3 teams competing at the high level, not only Loud that we have last year's, and now we have like MIBR, we have Furia, and the fan base, the Brazilian community is really happy about it, and everyone is talking about Khalil performance. He's like a monster here in the last 2 weeks, and we're expecting him to play very well today.
We are so proud of all our teams here in VCT Americas, and like last year, Loud shocked the world by getting to the finals at Masters, getting the win at Champions, and this time Furia has shown their potential here to do absolutely the same thing and shock the world again. It's been like a very good opportunity for our teams to show their potential, like everything, the potential they have is amazing, and like we couldn't be prouder. We expect today to be like the best game ever.
Yeah, everyone in Brazil is talking about this is the first time a Brazilian team can really wins against Loud. This could be the first time Loud lost for a Brazilian team. So everyone is hyped about that. Everyone is talking about how the momentum of Furia is really good here in VCT Americas. And maybe, who knows, maybe Brazil got 2 spots in Masters, in Champions. So that's what everyone is talking about in Brazil. So that's why we're happy here. That's why we are here to talk a little bit more about it. And we're gonna see. I think, Dash, that Furia is gonna win. I think the momentum is good. I don't know about you guys. So back to you. And I hope Brazil makes a really great game.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that breakdown. Not just echoing the sentiment of the possibility of Furia taking down, even the prediction that Furia is going to take it down. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that was bold. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm torn, right? Like, my heart says one thing, my brain says the other. The nice thing is I'm just not going to predict, so I can't be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, for me, definitely the same, on the exact same boat as you, Doug.
All right, well, there you have it, where the stage is set. Let's go ahead and close out week 3 with an absolute banger. It's the Battle of Brazil. Furia versus Loud. VCT Americas starts right now. This stream contains fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone was talking about him, and this is going to be the guy to look out for.
Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't. Olha, TZ, escala bem, faz duplo abate. Vamos, Fogão! Se acaba tempo e leva!
A gente vai enfrentar a Loud agora na nossa próxima partida. Eles são bem confiantes assim.
Agora faz abate o Aspas agora. Xão! Aspas!
Tap onto the spike. There's that Hunter's Fury. It's a Legolas battle, and it's gonna be Kalazin that wins it.
E o Aspas encontrou o espetinho!
Eu acho que vai ser um confronto muito difícil, se bem sincero. Os times brasileiros, pelo jeito, estão vindo muito fortes agora para a franquia. E a Fúria deu um jogo muito sólido contra a Cru.
Faz o Kalil! Tem a chance! Levou o King! Olha ele! Kalil!
Sabe o quão bons eles são também. A gente respeita isso, mas a gente também tá aqui para mostrar o nosso jogo, mostrar o nosso potencial.
It's the Brazilian battle, Loud versus Furia. So much on the line today as only one of our teams can remain undefeated at the end of this best of 3.
Yeah, and I think to go back to the conversation we've had a couple of times, single round robin, you see this team once. So if these really are the best of the best, and these are the top that Americas has to offer, this head-to-head is critical.
You got to make it count.
Absolutely.
Make it count here and now, today.
Yeah, I mean, just earlier we heard the Brazilian people talking about how they really appreciated having the two Brazilians kind of showing their power. And so, you know, there is a good kind of sportsmanship coming into this where, you know, it's going to be a nice nod to each other of, yeah, we appreciate the work that you guys have done. It's going to be good competition, but you know, at the end of the day, one of them has to come out on top, and I want to know who's going to be more brutal about it.
Yeah, not just that mutual respect, but that familiarity as well, right? Which is something we've always come back to. Big brother, little brother, whatever you want to call it. These teams have so much more experience against each other coming from the same region than they do a lot of the opponents that they're set to face here in the Americas League. And that always makes me more curious, Doug, what map select and map vetoes are going to look like when you have this much experience against another roster, another team, and their tendencies.
Yeah, I am curious about that as well. I think the natural tendency is to look at this match once again in like a very isolated, siloed type situation, right? Where you have the experience, you have the fact that it's Brazil against Brazil, but I think the only litmus that we have to go off of now is how they've performed against the field. Right. And for me to sit here and tell you, oh, by the way, Furia have only dropped one map this entire stage and Loud have dropped multiple, it just feels like an alternate reality, right? Nobody expected that at the beginning of the split.
No, I wouldn't have believed you if you told me that before week 1 had taken place. But even to that end then, Athena, let's talk about some of those maps that were dropped and maybe what Furia would want to take away from what Loud's put up already. I'm thinking immediately towards that Cloud9 series.
Yeah, I mean, Loud in their last series, week 2, picked Split, and they lost it to C9. So, you know, for them to kind of see towards that map, I think I'm not going to be excited if I see a Split. I'm going to be more excited to see an Icebox because both these teams have shown that they can play this map pretty well. I think getting rid of Fracture is a pretty good call from Furia here. From Loud. I think Furia getting rid of Pearl is really, really good too. You do not want to see these teams battle on Fracture on Pearl because both these teams are so aggressive. I think it would be a crazy 2 maps to watch, but I think they just understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. And
okay.
Split.
So hold up. Didn't we just say that Loud had picked Split against Cloud9 and lost that map?
I like it.
Doug, they're going back.
You like it.
They're going back.
Why do you like it? I don't.
What have they learned? That's the question. What did they learn from their loss?
True.
Right? Yeah. What might change today? Or was it just, you know, something about the play?
But Dog, you're talking about 2 entirely different teams. You're talking about Cloud9, and then you're talking about Furia. Those are not apples to apples, right? I'm very curious. As we start to see the rest of the map pool come through, Lotus off the board, which I think makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah, Heineken 0.0, Icebox being locked in there from Furia. So you got your wish, Athena. We will go to Icebox, and we're guaranteed to see it because it'll be the second map. And if we're lucky enough to go all the way to 3, it's looking like Ascent will be the decider.
I mean, all these 3 maps are maps that we've seen both these teams play a lot in tournaments. Like, their map pools are pretty similar in this aspect, and the fact that, like, you know, we've seen them drop a couple of these maps, we've seen them destroy on a couple of these maps, so it's gonna be really, really interesting to see how it plays out.
I think if you're Loud, and I can't believe I'm saying this, if you're Loud, you have to get to a set. I think that's where you win this series.
I can't believe you said that.
I'm really worried.
What if
they
they're cooking up something?
Maybe.
On Split.
I don't know. I go back to the opponents that they were facing, and those are not comparable. So if you did learn anything, it was all inner, right? It was all individual. You've made individual adjustments that you felt like were the issue previously.
Yeah, well, it would have to be reflective, right? But we'll find out very quickly whether or not Loud has identified something either compositionally that they think needs to change on Split for them to get the win. They are starting out on the attacking side, and as we see agents begin to get locked in.
Yeah, I see the double controller coming in from Loud. Really, really interesting. They have the double duelist, double controller comp. Okay, we don't need a Senti.
We got a chamber on the field too, by the way.
Chamber.
Not for the Loud side, for the Furious side.
I want to see what Doug has.
Doug's got the most perplexed face in the world right now. What's going on over there?
Sadak is on Raze.
Yeah, bro.
He's calling
Yeah.
on Raze.
Yeah.
He doesn't normally play Raze. So not only do they go from a single duelist to a double duelist, but it's Sadak who's on that role.
Yeah, I guess in a funny way, I'm not surprised just based on the narrative we've had for him already this season.
Sure.
How much he's had to change roles to kind of figure out how he slots into the team while still being that leader for the squad. Now, we've checked off every single box in our pregame checklist except for one, and that, of course, is our toss over to the casters. Here's Bren and Sideshow for the banger of a match between Loud and Furia.
Banger of a match and a battle for Brazil as well between two of these teams, Loud and Furia. Two teams that are undefeated in our split so far in Americas. Josh, it's that battle for that untarnished record, but also in a grander scheme of things, Loud, who have never lost to any form of domestic competition, and now they're up against Furia.
Absolutely wild. They have never lost to a Brazilian team. I think the record's something like 22-0. But, you know, some of that with their former roster, with Sassi and Pancada. The last time these two teams faced off, 11 months ago, when both teams looked very different. Furia won 7 rounds across 2 maps. That is not happening again today. Brazil has a top 2. Brazil might even have a top 3. We could talk about that another time with MIBR. But off the rip here, I'm taking a look at what Furia are doing in B main. They've got the chamber set up with a rendezvous, 3 players pushing out there. When you watch Loud play on this map, it's always going to be 2Es, just holding this area down. And they have managed to get Dejazine onto a fantastic line. Reactive push coming out from Loud as they go up towards Heaven. There's a trademark here.
Broken. Now backing off. Patience in the play there, just making sure they remove that utility. But there was that response, like you said, Josh, off of Furia's B main push. And now working their way into ropes. There's a nade meeting them on the back all the way. No damage being done, but look at Les. Scurrying himself up into a 4 position. Lovely discipline. Look at that, the double peak still. MW, low enough, 22 health, up in his face. Aspas dashed all the way. It's a kill for him.
And now Sadak's worried that somebody could be pushing on the flank. They know that there was a big aggressive push out of B main, so that means they need to be worried about the flank,
Spike planted.
which is where Dejazine is, and anybody rotating through mid.
This Dejazine on that flank is going to be vitally important as well, meeting themselves. Sadak low enough, slight angle. The frenzy in his hands.
Both players dealt with. Dejazine coming out through sewers, and then Sadak collecting that kill.
All up to Mazine. Players weak enough, but look at that. Loud making sure that they pick their timings correctly, and that's the pistol round 1 for them.
A phenomenal pistol round, actually. Managing to navigate that aggression from Furia and instantly react and go into an A pivot. Even crushing the Furia repeak over towards ramp with those 2 players. And this is going to be a major win condition for Loud here. Furia have been winning 78% of their pistols this year. They don't lose pistol rounds very often. And Loud coming out with the first round is massive for them.
Big opener. And a bit of time to breathe as well and talk about this matchup as well, because it was Loud who took Furia to the split map, and I think makes a lot of sense in terms of the grand scheme of things. It's looked like a weaker map for Furia.
Yeah.
What they've played.
And I think that's a really interesting discussion, because the desk were focusing a lot on how Loud looked weak here, losing to Cloud9 on split. But I think also when you saw Furia play against Crew, I don't think their composition looked that great either. They weren't getting very much value out of the chamber on the defense.
Yeah.
It was easier to navigate and push Dejazine back. And overall, it was a very competitive map with one team fighting for the top of the table and one team completely winless, right? So I think that's what Loud are really looking at here, is trying to abuse the same kind of things that they saw Crew get success out of.
Obviously going back to that old double duelist comp as well that they have played.
Right, they were playing this all towards lock-in with Aspas and Sadak on the double duelist. It is weird, honestly, seeing Sadak IGLing from this position, but he's played quite a bit of Raze in the past, and normally his fragging's pretty decent.
For Loud, got to showcase that discipline, not lose anybody to these guns, and ensure that they get away, keeping all the weaponry into that next round so they can have a pretty fleshed out bonus round, and yeah, no danger.
Yeah, completely flawless. 3 players as well, with enough armor that they don't have to buy into the next either, so they can start their economy flowing pretty cleanly here. And looking into the next round, I mean, see how aggressive Aspas is here, just getting into the site. And of course, he's only playing against Classics, but I think he's really going to try and turn up the tempo against Furia. Part of that is going to be navigating around Dejazine. If they can overwhelm Dejazine before he can get that first kill and rendezvous off, or if they can use the tempo of the Jet and the Raze to run him down even after he's teleported out, that could be a major win condition.
They've got that footage. They know exactly where he likes to place his rendezvous to try and escape. Could be some counter-stratting, but look at that. Fast, straight away. Underhanded nade from MW, just trying to stop them in their tracks before they can really follow up on it.
9 health.
He's put a bit of a dampener now into the middle of the round, but Kawazine falling. They don't have that initiation anymore.
And I like the way that 2E's is taking a bit of space over towards B. Khalil has absolutely been... Oh. All right, less getting caught there. Does change the dynamics quite a lot, but again, this Astra battle over towards B main could be pivotal.
How does the fight get taken? Satchel across. Sadak finds his way in. Aspas wins the fight. Maybe even getting a rifle as well for his troubles. In fact, make it 2.
And there goes Khalil. He's definitely been the best player in Americas over the course of the last 2 weeks. But so much, I think, is going to come down to him over the course of this match. Better weaponry still. Bear that in mind for Furia. A Bulldog for 2E's. And Sadak's managed to get his hands on a Vandal. But can they win this when there is a single player on Furia everywhere around them?
It was a 3v2, now just down to Sadak. Knows where QCK is, but trying to find him is another task entirely, as well as he's got another player that he's got to worry about. Medi, okay. Almost making it happen, almost managing it, but couldn't quite wrangle that crosshair placement. Decent attempt nevertheless, and an expensive bonus round, taking away 4 of those guns from Furia. They win the round, but at a heavy cost.
Yeah, and that's what I'm paying attention to here, because QCK also has to rebuy armor. Everybody down to only 100 or less credits. So this is the kind of situation where Furia actually might just go for an eco. Sure, they've got Dejazine, who's got those headhunter bullets, so maybe that does something if he can throw a Bulldog to somebody else, but overall, this is not looking good here for Furia. It's an amazing start for Loud. And not only do they have the economy advantage, but they can start the ult spiral and stuff like Sadak's Showstopper is going to make a lot of space on whichever site they go for. And it seems like they're keeping this one very simple.
5 grouped up towards A main, looking for a fast pop. Biding their time, waiting it out. Azin's flash gets good info, but there you go. Finally, you start to see it. The dash is going to be cutting up any potential crosshair placement. Still holding on to that A ramp control though, but the site is going to be gained for them. Interesting that they're going for the Heaven plant. They don't actually have A Heaven control here, and a refight seems to be the name of the game now. Furia, nade close, snake bite in their face, Showstopper. Oh my goodness, it glides right past, not a single target found.
And that's a crazy play by Sadak. Just launching himself back up the stairs.
Running them down, less drop to 10 health, needs bit of respite, backing away, needs some help from the rest of his team, and it's chip damage on either side right now. Still, enough damage done. Aspas, beautiful work. Lone player left standing, that's Khalil, and mountain of a task to try and make your way through that one.
I love the play from Sadak there. Flying through the window, spots 3 players at ramp.
Just mental.
Yeah, he can't quite land the shot, but that is some of the level of bold aggression that you're going to need to battle a team as confident as Furia. And I think this round mostly is decided by the fact that Furia have that bad economy. I mean, look at his face. He knows he's gotten away with murder there. But now Dejazine has his operator and a close rendezvous that allows him to get an early PK main. How is this dealt with? It's got to be Kawanzin's utility, I think.
But also potentially punishable as well. Rendezvous close, and they're dashing onto him. Nade rebounded off close to the side, and he's caught. Very difficult position, whiffs the shot, and the head under bullets don't do it. It's Loud, overpowering. Fight ADS, 2 years, you're not too favored there.
No, he's slightly closer to the corner, so he ends up losing it. But Aspas picks up the operator and hits the shot where Dejazine was whiffing.
Come down to those individual fights now. Khalil, he's been a monster in Americas. One of our top-rated players so far. Exchanging of weaponry as the stun comes out. Rifle in his hands, trying to bait it out. Look at him trying to play the best he can, but against 2, with Loud having that discipline, they just double face him.
Very well played by Loud there. I mean, the trading is spectacular for them to be able to get into the site. With Sadak for when Sadak falls, Aspas instantly gets the trade on that player. And then another player got caught. Immediately a trade came through. Potentially, Dejazine could have knocked that down into a 1v1, but he was always dying there. And this is where I think you see what Loud are going for with this split pick. Yep. They know that the way that Furia are going to be playing around the chamber is abusable if they turn up the tempo. That you just can't teleport away as far as you could with the old chamber. Post-nerf, he doesn't quite have that. Now, there are a lot of ultimates that Furia could use here, and 4 Headhunter bullets that could make this still a difficult round to navigate.
Yeah, there's that danger that's there, lurking, even with the Wicker Eye. It's up to Dejazine. Nice with the Headhunter bullets, but he's already crossed through with a player. Couldn't quite catch the target. He was looking for the cranium.
And that's the kind of shot that could really change it, because he would have got his tour de force online as well.
Trailblazer clears this. Looks like a stack towards mid, though, on the defensive side. Furia, they got 3, make it 4 of their players. They're going to pop flash through. Yes, they are. Anti-flash. Bit of a dodge, bit of a weave there. Going for 1 for 1. They want to take the fight even further. Seeker's going to be popped off now. It's a reaction play from Loud. They want to take up all this space towards the side. Kawazine, what is that?
Almost casual, isn't it? The way that he just dismisses that challenge by Dejazine.
He's looking almost like he was running and gunning, but...
Mazine left 24 health to his name. And no real way of being able to win this. What a stellar beginning from Loud on map 1.
Yeah, forced to back away and save the rifle. And this is magical by Loud.
1 dead.
Okay, Kawazine falls, but can't make too much else of it. Loud are going to be happy with this. It's going to be getting themselves up to that 5th round on the attack side of Split. And you're starting to see the pieces come together. They've clearly got a very good game plan in order to shut down and mitigate Dejazine when he's playing that chamber in this composition.
And for Loud, winning here on Split seems like a must, because you're heading into Icebox, where we saw Furia absolutely decimate Leviathan. And sure, Loud are up there with some of the best in the world as well. There was a chance that they could have won on Icebox and taken away Lock-In. Didn't quite happen like that, though. And Ascent is a map that they used to be fantastic at, had a bit of a shake. We don't exactly know what comp they're going to be running. But Furia are very, very good at the second 2 maps in the pool. So Loud need this hot start.
Yeah. Which seems weird to say, right? The finalists of Lock-In were calling the first map a must-win.
But that's the way the map pool sometimes works, right?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, if you look at the way that the maps were theorized to function, both of these teams normally have a permaban. Loud have been getting rid of Fracture every time, and that's what they did. Furia have been getting rid of Lotus against every opponent, and they didn't do it here because they don't respect Loud's Lotus enough. And Loud did not punish them for it. So that's why Loud are in a bit of a tricky situation in terms of their map pool in this match. But overall, if they continue playing like this, they are not going to have an issue whatsoever. And it is very unusual to see Khalil sat down there 1-6 right now. The Furia defense has been getting overwhelmed, and the Khalil magic has just been coming through in all of Furia's games so far.
Yeah, it doesn't really allow for too much aggression. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest difference in terms of his playstyle as a player. It's evolved since he's come into the Americas. He's been taking a lot more risks and winning them.
Yeah, he's gone from being a player that was mostly a little safe to hitting insane shots, playing entry, lurk, clutch. I mean, he's just been the full package in the last 2 weeks of play. So we'll see whether Khalil can turn up and deliver us more of that. Massive ultimates on board, and you're expecting Furia to use tons of them here. Tour de Force going to be popped off the rip, I think.
Another fast play towards it. Look at that. Immediately disrespecting it to Dejazine! Oh, he was on top of the box! Rendezvous, then a punish.
There's the aggression again, though. How does Dejazine handle that?
You just can't. It's overwhelming. An onslaught is coming your way. A bit of a late lurk there by Les, but he is dealt with. Rest of the players in the site with the Cosmic Divide really splitting up the site still. The kills are going the way of Furia. Trailblazer into the back of the side. That spots it out. Sadak, you are not escaping that.
Spike
not a chance in
B.
hell, and that's the spike separated entirely. What a response from Furia.
And the spike left it in a position that seems unrecoverable. But also, Furia have invested 4 ultimates to win this round. That's not replicable. And they're still... Listen, it's still not completely safe. I've seen Aspas deliver magic with these knives a couple of times before.
First in 2 years. Moving forwards, a bit of a contact play. Try not to make any noise. They want to try and hunt down. 1 kill found. Can they get a second?
I got the spike.
2v3. Spike reclaimed, but 35 seconds left on the clock. Time starting to become a bit of a problem, and No one
30 seconds
wants to
left.
make the first move. Fight being taken off to the side. That's a trade, but in a spammable location, just unwinnable there for 2 years.
Really well played by Aspas and Tweez to try and make that possible, but Furia in the end had too much of an advantage. But like I said, Bren, that is 4 ults. The Jazeen with his tour de force trying to lock down B main, rolled immediately. MW wins a really good fight in B heaven and then pops his ult to get another one. QCK had a Viper's Pit in A main the whole time that he just had to rip off the beginning, because by the time you react to what Loud are doing, they're already on top of you.
So the power of this double duelist composition is, I mean, you can just explode out of all of those extremities. You're seeing it here in action over and over again. Look at this A lobby aggression is disrespectful. Straight away through, that's going to be a Trailblazer using an nade into the corner, updrafting to escape all, or at least most of the damage. Aspas falling relatively low there just from the decay, but a bit of a break, a pause in the play. The battle has been taking place now, waiting it out, and a bit of exploration still. The fight's being taken there, an exchange of fire.
That's a ridiculous play. Les sneaks through A main in order to get a backstab on MW, who was just trying to hold down Heaven. And look at what's happening in mid here. QCK's pushed deep, hoping to get some info, and just looks backward at the right time to catch a silent Sarak.
Deep push, giving him a lot of information and the kill. And look at this, this is even greedier. A half clearance, an off angle by QCK, and the spikes drop down at his feet. Stunned up, running and gunning, and Aspas doesn't win it. An attempt is made to try and punish. They're left down to 2 years.
I have the spike.
30 seconds remain.
30 seconds left.
What can you do? Doesn't seem like a lot. The way Fury have been playing, and now they spotted his location. Clear Limousine, they're happy to give him a bit of space here now. Go ahead, take the fight. Walk into Mail, we've got it covered. Double setup. Lovely spacing.
And the adjustment here is very nice. Furia have now, in this round, most recently, managed to push QCK into a reactive position. It's not their game plan at the beginning of the round to push their Viper down mid, but as soon as Loud commit both of their duelists to A, they know that there isn't going to be anybody playing aggressive in the rest of the map. So they can walk out B main if they like. You know, they'll probably meet a bit of resistance, or walk down mid. They might meet one player resistance, but that's going to be about it.
Here.
So getting those nice re-clear plays on the defense could pay dividends for Furia.
Seeing it yesterday as well in the Sentinels match. A lot of that going on.
Yeah. It's the best way of playing split on the defense, I think. You want to be staying mobile. Whoa! What is no way! Les got a second up in Heaven!
It's all over the place.
Poison's off. Grenade!
Kills happening on every single section of the map, is what it feels like, but how is Les getting away with that? And look at this guy.
I mean, that is just the most horrendously unfortunate timing for Jazeen. He's worried about the Viper Orb and someone sneaking around the right-hand side of it, unscopes, and Les hits an inhuman flick, and then we didn't catch it on camera, but he just deleted another player over by A Heaven. And now he's up there controlling the rotates. He's just won a round on his own.
Yep, rewarded with the operator in his hand as well, holding all sorts of angles.
This was a thrifty.
Recovering it.
It was a thrifty.
Yeah, thrifty win.
2 kills with a Sheriff, 1 with the Guardian, and 1 with an op that Les picked up from a corpse.
Just when it felt like it was Furia gaining a bit of momentum in this half, Furia, or I should say Loud, steal it right back.
Yeah, that is brutal. It's going to take the wind right out of Furia's sails.
And that is absurd, yeah. Just forced to save. QCK, no money to buy into the next one, needs to keep this rifle.
And one of the reasons I wasn't a fan of Dujazeen's chamber when we saw it last against Crew, and why I thought it would be a good pick here for Loud, is that Dujazeen is normally a very aggressive player. He loves re-peeking into angles, disrespecting your utility, trying to get up in your face. I mean, whatever he's playing, whether he has a rifle or an op in his hand. But Dujazeen here on chamber just has to hold these passive positions, tethered to his utility. My God, what a shot by Les.
Single-handedly opens it up, but you're right, Josh. It tethers you, it anchors you to positions. When you have a player like Dujazeen who wants to be taking fights, and
you want to unleash him.
Yeah, you want this guy to be just able to make plays all over the place. But when he's on chamber, it does lock him down. It's one of the things I didn't really like when I was watching Furia play this map. It's clearly something they haven't put as much time into. It almost feels like that they're playing is a relic of past times when chamber was in the meta. Just something they haven't really put too much server time into to
well, I mean,
something else. But
the actual Rendezvous is using a good value for the current state of Chamber, but there's a reason why no one's picking him at the moment.
yeah. Look at this up-close position. Oh, does this get cleared? Could be a view model difference if the gun's on the wrong side! That is absurd! That's a double peek there. I think Loud, they do their best to clear that properly. And yet still W0 gets one.
And 100 damage into Kawanzin too. So look at this exploration through mid. What's the adjustment? The trademark's still not broken in B heaven. And if Loud want to threaten like they are going towards B, that smoke's not going to be enough. You've got to get rid of the trademark too.
I've got your trail.
Broken, Seekers pushing through, and less this time dealt with. Tap of the rifle, Digizine close to the pillar. So pull as well on top, actually doesn't grab onto him. Didn't pull him out of position there, he was still favored to take the fight.
30 seconds left.
Sight gained, but only 2 players remaining here for Loud, so they have to plan safe.
Spike planted.
A 2v3. Does Aspas want to take some risks? This is a very narrow angle that he wants to hold distracted. Misses the timing. Heard the flash, was worried about the re-peek there from heaven. It was an open angle. Playing a bit safer now, but it's going to have to take some magic, I think, 2 years. ADS that wasn't expecting the other player to be swinging there, stunned into the corner. There's a timing to be taken. Furia, can they try and overwhelm? Dash forwards and back. It's a high-low setup now. 2v2, flash round the side, and it's just about managed. Furia win it.
That is close. Another great attempt by Aspas and Tuis. They were in a 2v4, I think it was earlier, and you know, stuck here again in a player disadvantage situation.
Something over there.
Making the best of what they can, but Furia's diligence, not rushing things, playing off each other, and nice utility towards the end from Mazin to make sure he was favored. But right now, you're getting a premium performance from Aspas. Even in clutches where he's losing them like this, you see the way that he's working around and using his dash is crazy, and currently 14-4 on split.
Yeah, he's frying, isn't he? My God.
Blinded.
Loud's composition should be good on their attack side. Double Duelists can still get a lot of value on defense, but Loud have been racking up these attack-sided rounds when they've been running the Jet and the Rays. So 6 is kind of just, you know, middling for them. They're still looking to push towards 7 or possibly even 8 to make this a good half.
Make it a really good half.
And that might be a bit of a confusing sentence for anyone who's not watched Split in a while, because it used to be a ridiculously defense-sided map.
It's just the nature of the double duelist comp. You can take space so easily in the blink of an eye.
Now, talk about blink of an eye. Sadak here with a flash and a showstopper might just decide to barrel into B.
Just trying to poke and see, I think. Seekers were used as a response to that, actually.
And they're choosing to wait them out. They don't want to be in the middle of an execute, right, having to deal with those Seekers. And the Furia players swinging off them.
But this is the difficult thing now, because you're down to 35 seconds, and there has to be a timing to be taken. Rocket, that was sent flying with the Trailblazer.
Completely missed.
What direction do they really want to go into? They've got no space towards A. They have to commit towards B, but Furia, I mean, they've locked this all down. Viper Orb in their face, Snakebite's locking it down now, down to that final 20 seconds, and it's Furia that should know exactly where Loud is. They should be able to contain it. No, they just cut across. QCK trying to hold that angle. He gets obliterated. It's up to Digizine. Only one found. Barreling their way forwards. Spike's going to get planted with seconds to spare, and they can get to play this post-plant, but it is a 3-on-3. Flash down, nade. Against the back wall here. What are they waiting to play off of? A flash. He is smoked off, angles taken, there's opportunities for kills all over the place. Satchel, unfavored for Kawazin, and he still gets the kill. But moving forwards, one after the other, and Mazin has been good.
Well closed out by Mazin. Khalil finally having some impact as well with a 2K up from heaven, hitting some very nice shots. And Furia's retakes have been slow and deliberate on B, but very methodical in terms of how they clear angles and try and flush these Loud players out.
And really good. Mazin's been the finisher.
He has, yeah.
I think the way they play this as well, no room for error. Immediately, as soon as 2 players take the fight there, Mazin's able to clean it up. It's multiple rounds now where that's been the case.
They're also forcing Loud into these very last-minute pops. the Viper Orb in B Heaven. Loud are clearly struggling to get through that. And it's being paired with a trademark too, and the trademark doesn't get broken because the Viper Orb obscures it. Now the trademark over towards A main, anticipating some kind of A pop. And the Viper ult in mid is going to make this a little more difficult for Sadak, but he just barrels through it.
Yeah, disrespecting it. All the way through MW. Off to the side. Sadak doesn't watch it. Showstopper's popped. MW's looking for a little bit more with this one, but does he expect the players? Holding close there, all vacating.
And in the meantime, Digizine's fallen. That means no trademark to help Mazine anchor the A site.
And all the space taken. Aspas wants to hold it down. There's a slight gap here into the Viper wall. Anything could happen here. A battle of these timings, but still a minute on the clock, and a bit of discipline being shown. You can feel Loud picking and choosing their right timings. They're going all the way back to mid. Why not? Okay, Viper Pit was dropped in the middle of all of this. Space gained fast enough. What in the Lord's name is that? The final boss of Aspas just making magic before our very eyes.
And Kaladin pulling a magic trick out. There's another one from MW.
Traded, but getting two there is just phenomenal. Now what can Mazine do?
I've got your
He's closed out these rounds, but not as a sole player. Left in that 1v2. Seeker spots his position. Broken, double swing. No way! That is something special.
What movement from Mazine! And he finishes a third round for Furia. Half of the rounds, I believe, are finished by Mazine winning a 1v1, or in this case, a 1v2. After Aspas set it up by hitting this unbelievable shot. What an insane way for the half to end.
MW's here as well, getting two. Traded out, but Mazine being the finisher there. And like you said, Josh, it's almost like a third of the rounds that he ended up winning. It was Mazine who was closing it out, clutching it out. What a player he's been. But that's going to do it for the first half. Let's send it down to the desk to break it all down.
Thank you so much, Brent. I'm right there living inside Cho's head right now because I don't honestly understand how this is a 6-6 half, considering the way that Loud came out swinging, Aspas hitting the shots that he was, and some magic on the other side for Fury to cobble a few rounds together.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's magic, right? Just that last round, Aspas gets an awesome opener, and then MW0 gets a 2K. And then Mazine gets this, I don't understand how he did that 2K at the end. Like, that's what it felt like it took for Fury to keep it as close as they have.
Yeah, especially considering, again, the idea, we called into question the chamber pick, right, to begin with. And we see a little bit of it, the difficulty that Digizine has navigating this pick here in round number 7 when you've got those double duelists charging on the site.
Yeah, I mean, so interesting. I mean, on that defense side, when you have a chamber, you just want to set him up with an op and kind of have him hold that angle. And right now, like, he isn't necessarily doing exactly what I would want him to do on that defense side.
He just gets bullied, right? You get the double dive comp, and there's nowhere he can easily retreat to find space and reposition. It's very hard for him to find those angles, in a map, even in a map that should, in theory, be a little bit better. But the truth is, Aspas bullied him.
I mean, he bullied the whole team.
Yeah.
He bullied all of Furia, right? Like, you didn't want to be the guy who had to take or absorb the pressure of Aspas early on in the round because he was creating the numbers advantages that Furia was having to fight back from.
Yeah, I mean, he was pushing onto that chamber, completely pushing them off guard, taking that mid-control space with Sadhak really well. They really utilized this double duelist comp to the most of its potential because I feel like they did a lot. It just came down to, like, the trades and making sure that everyone was on the same page. But yeah, Aspas just on top of that scoreboard right now, 366 aces.
In no universe do I show you that full screen of a single player stat and go, what's the round scoreline? And you say 6-6.
Yeah.
It does not happen. It doesn't make sense.
And if I may, the alarming thing too is that the last time we saw them play split, Digizine had a slow half on defense, went insane on attack, and it's teed up to be the exact same.
Chamber attacking side. We'll see if that's the magic they need to get this one over the line. Back over to Brennan Sideshow for the call.
As we get that second half underway as well, sole focus being on these pistol rounds still. That stat living rent-free in my head, Josh, that you were talking about earlier with Furia. What was it, 78% of their pistol rounds they've been winning?
Yeah, this year. It's probably dropped down a little bit because they weren't able to win the opener here on Split, but they're attacking pistol rounds. They're normally played quite slowly. They take some mid pressure, and then the mid player becomes a lurker. We'll see if they conform to that kind of structure that I've been noticing from Furia's pistol rounds in general.
No jump peek.
Dejazine really hasn't been hitting that much in this map, but all it takes is a couple of headhunter bullets, and suddenly his confidence might be straight back.
Yeah, and Tuyes is going to think twice, I think, about jump spotting that one.
So it's a bit of a fake mid-pressure. They don't leave a lurker, but then they do return to the site. So this is going to feel a little similar, but they've overwhelmed Tuyes.
Missed the timing, yeah. The contact play, they just weren't expecting it. And that's 2 Loud players falling. The 3v5 now, Plant's going to go down without any problems.
Yeah, not only that, look at where Dejazine is. He's just got such a fabulous post-plant position.
All the way in their spawn. Have to clear up this flank, though. That's MW being quite low, so let's fall easily enough. Kawazine making his way through now into B main. They need to find a couple more kills, though, and it just won't be likely. Look at that. Dropping like flies. Singular duels being taken in almost every single aspect of the B site.
Yeah, and that's another gorgeous attacking round by Furia. Nobody so far that all year has been able to deal with that general style that Furia have on pistols. Put a bunch of mid-pressure, use some utility, then group up for a sight hit. And it sounds simple, but all the time defending teams just get baited by the mid-pressure, pulled towards mid, and it leaves them open for a good post plan. It's remarkable how well it's working so far.
Yeah. Really smart timing's been taken as well. And Dejazine missed the initial shot on Tuyes, but he knew that Tuyes was going to be backing off, wasn't going to be trying to go for a second bite of the apple. And they took that timing and ran with it.
And now with Furia winning the pistol, I know that they dropped 6 rounds on their defense side split, but they're really not in that bad of a position. They're expected to go up 8-6 here. Are they going to be able to win 5 rounds on their attack half? I think it's possible against Aspas and Sadak playing Jet Rays. And it just bears reiterating that... Oh my God. There has never been a team this competitive up at the top with Loud in Brazil. Loud have never lost to a Brazilian team. And Brazil has always felt like a one-team region, even before Loud were formed.
Absolutely.
It was always Sassy and Sadak's team on top, and the others lagging some way behind. Furia is redefining our expectations of kind of what comes out of the Brazilian region.
Yeah, 2023, it feels like a bit of a new era for Brazil as a region.
Yeah.
This match is a manifestation of it, really, as well. Battle between these 2 teams as well, just reiterating Loud being undefeated against their domestic competition, but this match might be history being rewritten.
Wait a second.
Aspas through.
Wait
right into the stack. Players still matching them pound for pound, and Aspas, though, squeezed. Only with a short, he didn't have the range for it to win it, but yes, you're right, Josh could have got very dangerous.
Yeah, that did definitely look dangerous. Loud had read it, got a stack there on site, and we're hitting some nice shots. And they've taken some of the bite out of this bonus round here for Furia. Coming into it with, you know, a Bulldog, a Spectre, and a Stinger, that's about it.
So not as fleshed out of a bonus as they were hoping for. All the damage being done to them. Only 2 of the guns being kept.
I'm definitely interested to see how aggressive Loud can get on their defense. I don't think this comp is great at early round aggression, but I think they're going to have to try to be re-pushing in the mid-round and walking Aspas down a ramp, or having, you know, Sadak and Tuyes do a little push in B main, something like that. Or maybe even walking down mid.
Kawazine was given a bit of false information there. He sent in the flash. I don't think he expects players to be pushed up that far, and there was an opportunity. Potentially could have fallen, but reinforcements arrived straight through. Trying to watch for this one. Look at that. Space was attempted there by QCK. Wanted to try and lurk his way through. Okay, on top of the ropes. A little bit cheeky. Fight. Oh my goodness. But double-faced in the end, so the trade.
Yeah, I like that.
There.
It's really good. They recognize that it's only QCK in mid, so Tuyes and Sadak are going to be active and push out. They've lost B main, though, completely.
Look at this opening. Oh, wow, Mazen
Spike down.
allowed to get 3 shots off with the Sheriff.
It's awkward here for Tuyes. It really is.
Player standing.
But with Dejazine falling, now everybody can just focus in one direction, and Tuyes has the read on that play. Very nice stuff, and 3 rifles kept.
If you see one of my creatures, it's a good thing, all right?
More than enough for Loud.
That was the bonus round for Furia, though, so you know, I believe they only had the 1 rifle going into it, which was on Dejazine. Now they can buy up, have the equal weaponry.
There are a few things that weren't working well for Loud in that loss to Cloud9. One was their hold of A Heaven. And I'm wondering whether Furia are going to try and abuse that. And the other thing, I'm looking towards QCK to see if he can just whack down these Viper's pits in a big explosive round. Because I don't think Loud have looked that great at being able to get back into there.
Taking that back.
Khalil was pre-firing a jump spot. That's a double face and taking up the space. Kawazin's close there with a Trailblazer. Broken. Khalil's got to be wary of a potential double peek. And wow, they're falling on the other side of things. There's action though in mid. Double satchel through. Les wins his fight.
That's a beautiful play from Loud in this round. It really is. The abuse on Khalil's fantastic. What is that reactive playing away? Les just got deleted.
And Sadak left with a judge in a classic. He was looking to see if he could try and take out one of the opposition, but they've already worked their way in, and a deep Viper's pit laid down. It's back and forth, back and forth.
The Seekers are out here, though, and QCK has 11 health inside the pit. He could definitely get spammed down.
Shots flashed up. Dejazine couldn't see a thing.
Gun here.
Aspas with a timing right behind them. It's been pinged out, surely. They're working their way all the way through. They've got 40 seconds in this round to try and make something happen. QCK.
Does anyone know? I mean, they think Dejazine might still be in hell. And now, as the spike is tapped,
30 seconds
I think they
left.
should have a good idea that they're both inside the pit.
Tapped looking for a refight. Are they going to swing off someone's contact? No, there we go. Sticking it through. Timing was important. 1 for 1. Kawazine versus Dejazine. Spikes planted. Plenty of time left. Flash up in 3. Timing behind the screens, and he just about manages it. Slight tap there with a movement.
The movement from these players is so good. Just being able to dodge that first bullet that comes out from Dejazine, readjust.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So many players in this server.
They don't feel flustered.
With a little stutter step in those moments that just throws off their opponents so beautifully.
We're all guilty of it. Even in pro play as well, you'll see it. You know, sometimes when stakes are really high, the pressure's on. You see teams, you know, they're crouch spraying. It's a little bit flustered in terms of their play. But so far, individually, what we're witnessing between these two teams, every player on the server just looks so confident.
Furia dropped down to a low buy round, though, and you're talking about every player looking super confident. I'm actually looking for more coming out from Dejazine and Khalil. And Dejazine has his tour de force online here, looking towards B main, where Sadak has a judge. So, you know, Sadak's never going to be opening himself up here. And if anyone tries to take a close-range fight, I know which I would rather have between a shotgun and a sniper rifle.
I think they might be trying to punish these contact plays as well, though. Furia have been attempting that every now and then, just trying to walk through themselves onto B. As long as B heaven control is held. It looks like Furia not going to be opting into that one. They've grouped up through A main. They don't have a lot of space, obviously, just on that half buy, but they're going to be taking a spike in that direction now.
And Aspas is going to be able to get away much more easily than Dejazine was, because there isn't jet and arrays here on the attack.
Here's the footsteps, though. Misses the shot. Updraft, smoke at his feet. Trying to get out alive, but he is being swamped with utility. Landed at his feet all the way, and now he is surrounded. What can he find? Shots then! Just trying to evacuate.
One enemy remaining.
Eventually taken out, but just like that, everyone dropping like flies. Loud were there.
30
Fast with the
seconds
response,
left.
taking that A heaven control.
They've done a great job and just completely overpowered things. And Dejazine with the tour de force, he got 1, but that's all that was on the cards for this round. Loud have so many great ideas here. I mean, a couple of rounds ago, we saw them doing an aggressive push out through B main. They're being extremely responsive. As soon as Aspas takes contact, I mean, he leads them on a merry jig there. Dashes away, up, drives, throws smokes down, hop, hop, all over the place, back into elbow, and it just baits the Furia players along. He's like the Pied Piper.
They're trying to hunt him down, and it's
and the rest of Loud are just given the whole of A heaven controller as a result.
Yeah.
But I love the way that the rest of Loud respond to moments like that. Sadak, even with 4.5K in his bank account, goes for the judge B main.
Still opted in for it.
Yeah.
I genuinely think it is because they were contacting B main. They know it's a trend potentially with this composition.
I think also if MW blast packs past him, he can just swing into that smoke and start snacking.
Yeah. A little bit of presence showcase there as Util's used. That means the Viper's pit dropped down. into mid.
This is a very good play from MW, immediately jumping past the Viper's pit and taking vents, ropes. But now how does he drop down and challenge Kawanzin?
Yeah,
normally you would need a teammate to do that.
He feels very exposed. He's going to be the late backstab because they are trying to go for that beatport. Khalil, that's just a pre-fire is what it feels like.
What a clear.
Expecting it. It's an MW to backstab. Paying off. Does he expect a second? Oh, fight to be taken. Les just sidestepping again with his own movement. Moves forwards, breaking the Seeker.
And that had to be the right time for Les because there was Seeker heading straight for him. Would have helped MW to no end. And allowed a put into a 3v4 retake with an op as well. It doesn't look great. Furia should be winning this one.
Oh, this feels really difficult. Great post-plant setup for Furia. Holding close, making sure B main's locked down, but now starting to work their way through. But the longer they take, less time they're gonna have. It's gonna start to tick. Position noted with the operator. So hard to try and play this in the retake, and Furia are not giving them an inch. Nothing to be gained.
Unfortunate there for Aspas too. He hits a wall bang onto Mazine.
And just like that, backing away, they realize they can't play it. Have to save the operator into the next one, want to keep that weapon going. And so back and forth, back and forth. It's 9-9.
So close between these two teams. And we're honestly expecting every map to be close in this series. I've talked about how Loud probably need a win here because Fury have looked so incredible on Icebox and Ascent, but those are good maps for Loud too.
Yeah.
So I think there's a good reason why the Brazilian casters were talking about how excited the whole region is to watch this matchup. And I'm looking forward to this op v op battle that we've got hanging around in B main here.
Looks like a fight might get to be taken. It's Aspas on an off angle. Remember, Digizine is tethered towards that rendezvous that he's placed down prior. It's much smaller now. So it looks like it's just a game of chicken. Who will peak first? And I don't think either party wants to take the risk. But they're grouping up towards B main, and this means that Aspas could be given a freebie. Yep, there it is. Misjudgment there from MW. Was hoping to satchel across to break up any sort of crosshair placement. And look at the aggression. Dash still active. Poke in his face, though. Bit of a jump peek. Look at that movement just to get a bit of information in the middle of it. But
also QCK's
he's so fast. Yeah. He's walked his way all the way in, but it is managed. Covered.
And that
Cosmic Divide splits it up.
That Cosmic Divide is not going to find anything. I mean, if anything, it's a bit of a bait to allow Khalil to walk in on A. But 2E's, he's not fallen for it just yet.
No.
And with Aspas watching into B main, they know that this is bait. They know that there's a chance. Someone's snuck their way into the A site. And they're just going to give it fully up.
Yeah. 2 years playing a much more defensive angle, but this is for the contact play. That's immaculate. I love that.
A few times now, we've seen Khalil try to go for some of these lurk plays. And 2E's has been the player shutting it down.
Very good read on this one. With time running so low into this round, it's just unwinnable.
10 seconds left.
Loud hunting for a couple of rifles here. I mean, okay. Taking a fight to Mazine. He's already claimed 2 kills for it.
But it's not like the Loud bank account is particularly hurting.
I mean, the players are relatively low now.
I mean, Aspas is going to be able to drop, so...
Yeah, they will be.
They're fine for this round.
They're okay.
No problems whatsoever. Timeout taken here by Furia as we watch this again. I think you're very right there, but at the same time... Yeah, am I misreading? I mean, that wasn't MW popping his ult, was it?
No, I don't believe so. Was it? I don't believe so. I mean, you're looking...
My memory's not good enough.
We can see it. I didn't hear the voice line. That's what I was going on.
Exactly.
I was going off the muscle memory of the voice line.
Well,
I just saw him go down.
Well, I was right there with you. I thought he was backpacking across the
He is sitting on one orb towards his ult, so maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. Either way, not a successful navigation of Aspas' op over there in B main. And there could not be a larger difference, honestly, between the way that Aspas has been able to move around the map and the way that Digizine does feel very leashed.
Absolutely.
You will see him absolutely unleashed on some of the later maps. Going to be playing Jet, but yeah, that was an ult from MW. I mean, look at this. He's only got one ult up, and that was from the death.
Right.
And he was getting kills in the rounds previously, so that was supposed to be him ulting in with a blast pack.
And it was shut down.
And it was shut down by the operator, so
I wonder how much
wild.
of this timeout has been taken for Furia is trying to work out how to get around this Aspas operator, because it has been hard. I mean, listen, attack side, I believe it was 17 kills for Aspas, so he has slowed down to a degree, but it's just been a nuisance. When Aspas can hold down these long sightline angles in the mid-round and just give constant information to his team to play off of. It's so important on Split. Most maps, to be honest, but...
Here in mid, he's risking getting pushed by a Trailblazer or getting pushed by a Boombot. But on the other side of things, Sadak is taking space, and Sadak has his Showstopper too. They're playing a full B retake setup here with Seekers and Showstopper. Furia have read the gap. Actually, 2E's getting into more of a hard anchoring position here, just as the sight hit comes through. Is the timing gonna work? He's just slipped into a nice spot.
He can get spammed here. Not cleared, but he can be spammed. Every single angle, the wall doesn't go up in time. It would have blocked all the bullets.
Yeah, it does just in time, though, in order to help the rest of his team fend this off.
And the Seekers as well. It's a triple push right into them.
Spike down,
The
mid.
firing line of Loud. They met them pound for pound, and they were advantaged.
What a spray control from Cowan Zine. It's Dujazine that comes through that wall first, and he adjusts onto the other player that has the rifle, and Dujazine can't trade.
Show me this again.
Just ridiculous stuff. Look,
Oh my goodness.
he puts his crosshair back onto Mazine. Dujazine has a tour de force, which is much more difficult to trade him out. There are some wild moments happening here for Loud on the defense.
This is difficult now for Furia.
It does feel like Furia have run out of steam.
Run out of steam, run out of ideas. Only so much they can do. Nade at the feet, Dujazine. Oh, chunked down, 71 health. Holding a close corner there, but it's the weaker buy. And look at them just pre-firing. Whether or not... Must have been just off of hearing the satchel play. Sadak. 4.
It takes the Razor out of the round, too. And this round, you've got a bit of a weird setup where Aspas is just trying to stay more mobile, move somewhere else, and he's pushing up off the back of the Trailblazer to peek A main. He's very, very far forwards. And he still gets a kill.
Still wins it.
Obscuring vision.
He's just that guy.
Can't use concealment.
Furia. Smoke's popped up now. Trailblazer around the corner. They know where 2Years is. He's got backup. Snakebite at his feet. Vulnerable's up from the pull there. Running forward. It's a bit of a gun disadvantage. And the rifles, they reign supreme. And they ring out onto the site to try and close this one out. It's going to take a miracle. Can't quite reset the shots in between the Guardian there to win that one out. So Loud now on map point.
Match point.
Let's end this.
Looking fantastic. And I said that that double duelist setup might suffer a little bit on the defense side, but Furia just have no answers for the op. They cannot get around Aspas. He's got 20 kills right now in 21 rounds. Some of those on the attack side looking great on entry, and then his operator's been such a nuisance on defense.
Yeah.
Furia don't have that explosive ability to get past.
To have a cut past it, and you're running one initiator as well, makes it harder to try and
Need that back.
coordinate that and spot it out. Fast though, MW all the way up. There was like, oh my goodness, Boombot in his hands. Forces Aspas away though, so they found out his position.
But Aspas is so quick to get onto another angle where he can peek towards A main or heaven if there's more presence there.
Look at this, he's happy. Peace of mind knowing that
Poison's off.
he's got 2Years at his back as well, watching a heaven angle.
Now Les could well get caught here, yeah. So as soon as Furia take a heaven or prod up a ramp, suddenly Les is caught. He has nobody watching his mid, nobody watching in front. And he tried to reposition.
Got your trail.
A necessary opening. Kawazine moving forward there, trying to break the Seekers as well. Almost took out Dujazine as well, but they're going to be pivoting straight up into A heaven. They wouldn't be wading right into this. I have to know. Aspas is there and through the wall. The claim is prize. NW falls.
It's so good. He timings the flash from Mazine, makes it feel like there's nobody there, and then re-peeks through the smoke.
Anchoring at the back, 2Years with one, immediately traded out by the 3v3. And the longer they wait, the worse it's going to look, because Sadak is taking back the space, and he's got a
30 seconds
showstopper. Angle watched. It's traded. 2-on-2. Spike planted. There was an opportunity there to take the fight, but now just down to Kawazine. pull pushed him back. A risky fight to be taken here, especially individually, given Kawazin is ones. They want to be doing this one, but Mazin holding, flash in his hands, just waiting off the contact of Khalil, I think. There he is. Maybe not. Over the top. Such a hard fight to win, but potentially for the map here. Wants to try and find just one of the fights alone. The wider swing, the movement, the shorting away! Pushing forwards, he wins the clutch, and that is the map secured.
We saw Mazin win a 1v2 in order to close out the first half, and Kawazin decided to go one better. Pulls out the shorty for the final kill. With a wide swing to delete Khalil too. What movement we've seen in this match. It is just gorgeous watching these two teams fight. And Loud take the first blow.
Masterclass in terms of the individual mechanics. You love to see it. And Loud with their gambit going to split here. It's the initial map, they will be the winners. But a series, we're banking on it being back and forth nevertheless as well. Look at it heading even deeper. Icebox, Ascent potentially as well. Both of these teams are so damn good.
Yeah, this was a delightful beginning to a series that I think has so much more to give. I mean, we haven't even seen pretty much anything out of Khalil so far. Khalil has been the best rated player in the Americas League in the last 2 weeks. Has been looking like some prime yay kind of stuff on smokes. If he can wake up map 2, map 3, you could definitely see something different. Playing the Killjoy, then playing the Omen.
There'll definitely be opportunities for it. Maps like Icebox and Ascent as well. Much more freeing for players like Khalil. We'll see if he has that return to form, but so far map 1 living up to the hype, living up to our expectations. The battle for Brazil, not over by any stretch of the imagination. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after this.
He is currently unstoppable.
True.
He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. I'm a racing car, passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, there's no stopping me. Don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.